The ANC has caused the death of more people. This time it is the EFF that has lost its supporters in the recent crash involving a bus and a truck.
10 people have been killed following a collision between a truck and a bus on the R34 near Vryheid. It's still unclear what caused last night's accident. In fact, we're told 10 other passengers have been rushed to hospital with serious injuries. The bus, we now know, was ferrying EFF supporters who were coming from a Youth Day celebration or rally in Durban.
Firstly, my condolences to the families of the deceased.
The victims were passengers in a bus which was involved in a collision. This was with a truck on the R34 near Ulundi in KwaZulu-Natal. The victims were members of the EFF who were returning from a June 16th Youth Day rally in Durban. At least 30 passengers were injured.
This particular accident took place on the route known as the R34. The R34 is a provincial road that connects 3 provinces. It passes through the Northwest Province, the Free State Province, and the KwaZulu-Natal Province. We are talking about a road where you will drive for hours and hours, and it looks like this.
Die Nikkei is 30% op hom, Shanghai 32% op Hong Kong, amper 2% beter.
Yeah. This is outside Vrede, and look at the state of this road. It's atrocious. So please be careful if you drive on the R34 going to Vrede or maybe traveling to Neemel.
That is a video from a YouTube channel called Leon Randoms, and it shows us what the ANC has done, or more accurately, failed to do. That is a road where you have trucks being driven by men who have been driving from all corners of the country. Men who are tired from driving more than 10 hours per day. Some who may be old, some who may be drunk, others who may be inexperienced or even not licensed. All sharing the skinny little road with little passenger vehicles.
When you are talking about this route, the R34, it's one of the notorious routes where the trucks are mostly or they are commonly causing accident, and the residents in this area, they've been complaining about this route because the N2 is there and the N3 where the trucks they can be.
Guys, we are talking about trucks with 10 or 20 ton loads on a narrow road full of potholes like this one. What chance do you stand in your tiny sedan or bucky when you meet with a truck carrying 20 tons or more coming downhill with a driver in La La Land falling asleep from driving 10 hours per day? All these vehicles packed one behind the other, crawling through the pitch dark nights with barely any visibility, no proper street lights, no clear lane markings, no room to overtake safely, just darkness and danger. It's trucks, buses, taxis, private cars, all hoping they make it to their destination alive. This kind of accident was something that could have been easily avoided had the ANC done their job. From Mandela to Mbeki, Zuma and Ramaphosa, these are the culprits behind this and many other avoidable tragedies in South Africa. The leaders of the ANC have caused these deaths. They have given South Africans the perfect recipe for accidents. They could have widened the road, but they didn't. They could have upgraded the infrastructure, but they didn't. They could have at least maintained what was already there, but still they didn't.
Okay, now the collapse of the rail network in the country has had a devastating impact. We've seen as an an explosion of trucks transporting goods on roads and highways, and this posing a danger to motorists.
Year after year, nothing happens. No development, no safety upgrades, no urgency. Just another example of how neglect has become normal for the ANC, while ordinary citizens pay the price with their time, their money, and sometimes even their lives.
When we are looking at this accident scene, you could see that the truck is basically moved from the lane that was driving on to the oncoming traffic on the other side where the bus was. So
instead of building and maintaining and policing these places, the ANC wants to spend more than 700 million on the national dialogue.
Cost of the national dialogue, which was announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa early this week, has been estimated at around a whopping 700 million rand.
The ANC is ending the many lives of our people. The ANC is to blame for the deaths of these EFF supporters. It is to blame for this accident. And why do I say that? Well, let's look at something of great importance that you will notice in the case of the poor members of the EFF who lost their lives. The truck that their bus collided with was carrying goods that we all should know belong on the railway lines. The truck was carrying coal.
Well, from what we can see, Aldrin, the scene is yet to be cleared. As you can see, this is the truck that was involved in that head-on collision with a bus, rather.
And anyone who knows the history of this country knows very well that coal was primarily transported through rail for many, many years. In fact, the best way to transport many non-perishable goods on land is by rail, as this reduces the risks and the costs. There are less thefts on the railway lines. You don't have the stress of your driver stopping to steal diesel from your truck to sell to black market diesel traders.
Yeah? Well done. Ay ba ka nga, ha? Oh, nomthan so spulele vele. Yeah.
Truck drivers and black market dealers who steal diesel from their employers are causing the increase in the cost for both the producers and the consumers. The producers now have higher operational costs, which means that they can't afford to employ more staff members or to make as much profit as they could have. Additionally, the users of the products and the services now have to pay more for them, since the price you pay at the till also includes the price to transport those goods. So when the driver steals the diesel, that results in price increases of the final goods and services. There are many ways in which the government and the citizens are being robbed in all of this nonsense of moving from trains to trucks. Still on the matter of cost, there's one fact that I need you to know regarding trucks and rail. In order to transport 1,000 tons from Johannesburg to KZN, you will need between 40 to 50 trucks, which can carry 20 to 25 tons each. But when it comes to transporting via rail, you will only need one train. One train can actually transport more than 1,000 tons easily. And guess what? It will only employ 2 people to do it. Only 2 people. Meanwhile, to transport 1,000 tons using trucks, you require 2 people per truck, a truck driver and their assistant. Multiply that by 50 trucks, that is 100 people to transport 1,000 tons. Someone may look at this and think trucks are creating more employment, Moss. But if there are lower transport costs, there will be more money to employ more people. If there are lower transport costs, the final cost of the goods will be lower, meaning that more people can afford those goods. Rail is not only safe and cheaper, but also far more efficient in labor and logistics, benefiting both the producers and you as a consumer. In terms of safety, if the drivers fall asleep for a second, it could result in the deaths of entire families. They could end the lives of 5 to 10 people in one go, all while destroying the goods that they're transporting. So again, many people are affected by this trucking business. In this case, we have just lost more than 10 people because a heavy truck was carrying coal which should be transported via rail. This accident and many accidents like it could have been avoided. There is a way to transport these products via rail. The infrastructure is there. Not only should it have been maintained, but developed more in order to grow the reach of the railway lines. Instead, the ANC managed to collapse all of that. When you vote in 2026 and 2029, I want you to remember that.
And there is a railway route that comes from Hlobane, or in fact, original coming from Botswana, that is taking people to Richards Bay. So the issue of trucking sector, it's something that must be addressed. If this railway route is working, it is going to avoid almost all these things in the near future. But when you have more trucks, then damages are going to happen.
There are less railway accidents involving trains, and in most cases, when there are accidents on the rail, it is usually sabotage. Remember that trucking became the new business when trains and railways stopped running in many areas.
Because our rails are not delivering, and everything else has turned now, most of the time has turned to trucks. But this is not sustainable.
No, it's not. It's too expensive. I think the cost that we pay too much in this country for using trucks rather than rail at the moment is in the region of about 100 billion rand per annum. I'm not talking about the commodities and the mining commodities that we are not out exporting at all because we can't get to the sea. That would add another 300 or so billion rand to the bill, meaning that as a country we're losing R1 billion a day because of our rail's inefficiencies, because of the problems and challenges that they have by rail. It's in the region of R1 billion a day that we lose, about 5% of GDP. And many of that freight has to come back to rail. There's no doubt about it.
I know that if you or someone you know are truck drivers or owners, you may not like this, but the fact is there is no final product we get from the trucking industry. Therefore, we can't have all our people becoming truck drivers or owners. Millions of South Africans should be involved in productive industries, but the ANC has led to the closure of many productive industries. The ANC has risked many of our lives by crowding our roads with trucks and forcing us to drive next to these death machines. The ANC is forcing us to either stay behind a convoy of 3 to 5 20-ton trucks traveling at 40 kilometers per hour on a narrow R34 road, or risk your life by overtaking them in the darkness where you know that one of those truck drivers might be sleeping on the wheel, swerve and crush your vehicle, ending your life on the spot. The economy is failing right now, partly due to the fact that the ANC has destroyed our railways and our ports.
Yeah, and the current freight that's on the roads, with the number of trucks that we've seen, as I've said earlier, an explosion of trucks on our roads. If you go on the N3 highway to Durban, you go on the N1 highway to Cape Town, you go on the N4 highway to Maputo, and the other route into northern KZN to Richards Bay, you just see trucks and trucks. It's also not really sustainable in terms of the infrastructure, the road infrastructure itself.
No, not at all. And we have to remember that a lot of this road infrastructure is also paid by government. I think SANRAL gets a grant of about 60 billion rand per annum, whereas the railway, as it currently stands, get no grant from government. And now I'm talking about on the freight side now. So it cannot stay like this. We have to use the mode that is the most efficient to use in this case.
Just through the destruction of railways and ports, do you understand how the ANC has killed opportunities for companies starting or growing? How the ANC have taken away many job opportunities?
Transnet Freight Rail's container corridor, this is the one that connects the port of Durban to the Northern Free State and Gauteng, is possibly the most important rail route in the country because, of course, it transports imports and exports that are essential to this country's economy. Think automotives, grain, fuel, chemicals, coal, manganese, chrome, fast-moving products, all moved via rail, and they're now backs against the wall, asking for state intervention after a sharp increase in cable theft and sabotage. And it's really led to the near collapse of that Joburg-Durban rail line. Theft and sabotage have left the container corridor operating at only 25% of its capacity.
How the ANC has increased the costs of goods and services for ordinary citizens. How the ANC has caused the death of many citizens. Whether we want to admit it or not, the ANC has killed the EFF members and the many, many people who met their death on the tiny, pothole-ridden narrow roads. The ANC is responsible, but hey, we too scared of apartheid. That's why we vote for the ANC, right? Apartheid bad, ANC good, right? Wake up, South Africa. Anyway, that's it for today. Again, my condolences to the family members of the deceased EFF members. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.